What up, what up, what up? It's your boy Dave B, and you're watching Dave B on TV, where we go beyond that everyday bullshit that people be consuming on a day-to-day basis. And today, I want to talk about character, right? So, like, first off, what is character? Character is, what a person is like when no one's watching. You know what I'm saying? What a person is like when they're alone, right? Character is also like you could break it down as, I think the textbook or the dictionary definition is the mental and moral qualities of an individual, right? So that we're talking about the mentality, and the moral system. And if you want to relate this to astrology, this is talking about kind of like your ninth house, because that's kind of like your morality and the way you see the world. And it's also dealing with a person's actions and their mentality, right? You know what I'm saying? Because when you talk about astrology is about the body, right? So all of the planets, in a sense, relate to a certain aspect of a character, or a certain aspect of an individual. You have the 12 houses that represent the 12 areas of the body. Your Aries being the head, through Pisces being the feet, and then also these are the areas of your life, like, Aries being your personal life, your second life being your value and the things you value, where you plant seeds and what you have to offer to the world. Your third house being your surroundings, your neighbors. Your fourth house being your home and your private domestic situations. Fifth house being entertainment and the way you express yourself and also what you're entertained by. Sixth house being your job, your day-to-day life and your routine schedule, health. Seventh house being where you relate, your relationships, and basically like how you relate to people and others outside of yourself. Eighth house being the things that you keep hidden. These are like deep, dark secrets and very sacred things to you. It's also mysticism, occult shit. And occult and mysticism just being things things you do behind closed doors. This could be, if you are into different, rituals and all that stuff like that, or if you are a person behind closed doors, it's just like you in the bathroom. You know what I'm saying? You don't have the door wide open. Everyone can see you in the bathroom. No, you close the door. That's what you do behind closed doors, So it deals with stuff like that, like sex and things pertaining to those things. And then your ninth house, like we just said, is your moral system, your spirituality sense, your broad philosophical viewpoints of the world. You know what I'm saying? 10th house being your business, how you put together, how you structure things, your reality, what makes sense to you in reality versus and also what boundaries and restrictions are put on you, or the boundaries, restrictions, and limits you put on other people. Your 11th house being your network and associates, kind of like distant relatives, also like unfamiliar situations, and then your 12th house finally being your dream, imagination, also your illusions, and it can be creativity as well. So like when we're talking about astrology, this is why astrology is kind of like a strong base for pinpointing your energies, but astrology is a tool. You can't get lost in the tool. A lot of people get into astrology and the first thing they want to do is attach themselves to their natal chart, when you are, and this is the essence of this video, you are a spirit in this body. You know what I'm saying? You are a spirit, and your spirit is no physical thing. Your spirit is almost like your mentality. Like, don't confuse it, because the spirit is not necessarily the mentality, but you can use your mentality to give you a sense of what your spirit really is. Your spirit is no thing. It's kind of like what you want in your space. It's a parameter. You know what I'm saying? It's what you want in your space and what you don't want in your space. That how you move, how you choose to move, that how you put together thought forms and feelings and emotions, because the truth of the matter is we create the thought forms and the emotions, but we live in a world filled with influences, right? And so influences come from outside people, places, and things that plant ideas into our head, aka, this is why when we talk about television, this is why a lot of people make the analogy, or break it down like, it's television, because people will classify these kind of people as conspiracy theorists, but, or maybe they're reading too deeply into things. But see, what you don't understand is that it is true. These what's playing on television or the radio or whatnot, these are programs, these are radio stations, these are frequencies, right? And frequencies are like thought patterns, right? And when we're talking about you listening to a certain frequency all day, you start to take on the thoughts that belong to that frequency, and the thoughts lead to feelings, and the feelings, this is where things really get strong. And what I mean by strong is like when we're talking about influences and or your emotions and feelings, your emotions and feelings pertain to your state of being. So if you think about it like this, right, your thoughts and ideas is kind of like if you're driving a car, it's like the model of the car, right? Your emotions and feelings is like the state of that vehicle. So like is that vehicle in good condition? Is it on the positive spin of things? Is it polished? Is it taken care of? You know what I'm saying? This is would be you having good emotions and feelings inside that car model, inside that vehicle, which is your thought, right? So it's like, are the thoughts that you create in your state of being positive, or are they negative? Are they negative and doubtful? Do they destroy you, or is the car deteriorating? You know what I'm saying? So the outside looking model of the car is like the thought, right? It's the vehicle, but then what's inside the vehicle, it could be all, your seats could be all tore up, the engine don't work right, it's a weird sound that's coming from underneath, underneath your seat. Like, this is the state of being of that car, you know what I'm saying? And like there's many different ways you can break it down, but this is just one example of me trying to give you an image so you can kind of start kind of seeing kind of what I'm saying. Because when we talk about the spirit, really it's no words I can really use to explain what it is, because like I said, it's no thing. And when we start talking about God, right, God is, a lot of people I feel like look at God the wrong way. They look at God as if it has human qualities, right? They get lost in the word and think, okay, yeah, well, they said make man in God's image, right? But like when I think of God, I don't think of a man's image. I don't put my concept of what God is into a human form. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people will attach human emotions and thought patterns and language to what they're trying to call the idea of all possibilities, being God. Like, and that's where I kind of lose a lot of heavy religious people, you know what I'm saying? But like, what you choose to believe in is your choice, you know what I'm saying? But let's get back to the point of this video, right? So this point of this video is talking about character, right? Now, character, we all are individuals playing out roles, and when we talk back to the natal chart, right? These, like I said, you don't want to get lost in the natal chart. The natal chart is just it's basically a map showing you what was going on in the sky when you chose to came here, and when you chose to come here, right? But when you chose to come here, you picked a specific time, a specific date to go into a specific family, X, Y, Z, right? But that snapshot in the sky are the energetic influences going on. Like I said, each planet represents a different tool that you have. For instance, your Mercury is like the way you think, right, and analyze things. Your Jupiter is the way you put together your experiences. This is the way you experience things. It's also your wisdom and knowledge, and how you attach meaning and reasonings to the world around you, right? Your Mars is your passion, your anger and aggression, the things that kind of get you up in the morning and make you want to do something different, or make you want to go for a jog, you know what I'm saying, or make you want to just have ambition or want to go after something, you know what I'm saying? And then when we talk about the planets, or the things that are really you, we're talking about your sun, your moon, and your ascendant. These are like, your sun is your actions, how you see things. Your moon is your reactions and your emotional responses and your emotional needs, right? What you feel like you need in order to feel comfortable in the world. And your ascendant is like your personality and your personal life, and so, kind of the personal situations you tend to be in, So like I said, you still a spirit though, so you control these things. It's your, as a spirit, it's your job how you choose to show your sun sign. This is why people who buy into cookie cutter astrology might be like, well, I'm an Aries, but like I don't give a fuck about like the shit that they say that Aries care about. I don't care about that. I don't look at that. That's not really what I'm into. Yeah, because you're a different spirit. But see, it's not about what, like, that's why like cookie cutter astrology is really like dangerous, because it's like, it's not really giving you the true essence of what it's supposed to be. It's telling you the energy of Aries is to initiate and create new ways of seeing and feeling about things. So it doesn't, this could be in anything. Like, this is why as a spirit, like, you can really do anything you want. Even if you're an Aries, you can still be a poet, something that might be classified as a Gemini thing or a Libra thing or a Pisces thing. Like, you can't be you can be a Aries poet, you know what I'm saying? But the way in which you'll play out that poetry energy will be in a more Aryan way, which is initiating, creating new ways of feeling and seeing things. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's less about, oh, if you're Aries, you just off athletic and you're angry all the time. No, there's a lot of calm, cool, collected Aries, because not only is it about the spirit in that body, it's also about the different planets aligning and modifying that energy. You know what I'm saying? And your actions just play out as that Aryan light. But how it's influenced, like we're talking about, we live in a world of influence. Depending on how it's influenced will determine how that plays out, right? Now, you might be asking, how is, like, okay, like, so what, right? So I'm going to make a tangent right here and say, like, for artists, this is important. If you're an artist or an entrepreneur, this is important to know, because essentially your natal chart is kind of like your energetic essence, or the elements that you like to work with, right? So how it plays out down here is when people don't know what energy they should play out, they either they can grow insecure, or they can start trying to do things like other people. And see, when you get too lost in trying to do things like other people, that's where you can fall short, because you'll never be able to do something as well as it's like you won't be able. It's like there's certain things in your life that you'll be able to do better than others, and vice versa. There'll be some things that you might not be as well at doing than others, based upon just the energy elements and how you play your energy out. So it's like, if you at least know where your energy is and the elements that you're working with naturally, you have a better chance of getting from point A to point B faster and gaining success and notoriety, or being the best at what you do, because you're simply using the right elements, and then you're taking your spirit to do it in your true individual way. You feel what I'm saying? So, like I said, that was just a tangent to explain its importance to artists and why they should know shit like this. Because, when it comes down to it, you might be a creative individual, but do you know why you're creative? And do you know it's like knowing your placements and your elements, you can know how to maximize and get the most out of that creativity, or where to put it, or when to put it out. Because, like I said, each day is a snapshot when you was born. So each day is a different energetic influence. That's why on some days you could have the best day of your life, and then on the very next day, you could be feeling like you having the worst time of your life. It plays out like that. These are energetic influences that change how we think, or influence how we think and feel. And if you're not a strong spirit, you can be overtaken by these things, and AKA create a catastrophic moment, or do something that's maybe out of character. This is not how you wanted to play your character out, right? And this will lead me into my next point, talking about, the character again, like the point of this video, your character. So when we came here, right, as spirits, we all, basically the reason why we're here is because we had a desire to be something. As a spirit, like I said, you're no thing. You're just a space, and it's like you are moving according to your feelings and your thoughts, right? So in a sense, like, if you could think about it like this, because this is hard, this is kind of where we get into uncharted territory, right? So like, if you think about it, right, think about it almost like we're gonna get kind of, it's going to kind of sound pseudo, right? But like, I'm just trying to give you an image so you can kind of paint a picture for yourself and kind of get where I'm going with this, right? So it's like, if you think of yourself as a spirit in space. Now, space ain't really like this, but like, say you were a fucking astronaut in space looking down, right, on Earth, and Earth is like this big old ball of light, right? It's like there were certain color spectrums of certain lights that enticed you as that astronaut up there, right? And as an astronaut, let's say you weren't really an astronaut, but instead you were just kind of like like I said, you're like a spirit, which, like, even if you were, say you were an astronaut, let's continue with the astronaut analogy, right? It's like certain lights entice you, certain colors enticed you when you was looking down at the ball of light that is earth, right? And those different lights that enticed you was like certain thoughts, feelings, and desires. And so as an astronaut kind of floating aimlessly, as soon as you got enticed enough, you chose to come down in that specific light or that specific color. So it's like you went straight down into it. And that's kind of how like spirits, like you're no thing, right? But without a body, a physical vessel, you remain kind of just floating. You know what I'm saying? So it's like almost like you seen certain desires and you're like, oh, I desire to become that. And so you've seen certain light spectrums and certain colors that in those colors and light forms, these are like thoughts and feelings. And these are the thoughts and feelings of the vessels that you chose as parents. So it's like through those parents, you chose to come down. So you shot down. You like, oh, finally, okay, I see exactly where I want to go. You shot down, you went right into your mom and your dad. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, these are two lights. Like, and you know, down here, how babies are born is, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know how it goes. I ain't got to explain it to you, but that's kind of like the concept I'm painting for you, how you came down here. So when you came down here as a specific time between two specific, specific desires to be things and different desires and feelings. And basically these are like the thought forms that your dad was creating and the feelings and emotions your mom was creating. And these two things were the light and the color spectrum that you was like, oh, no, that's perfect. And then you chose a specific time to come, and that was your energetic snapshot. You get what I'm saying? So it's like when, like really it's, you chose to be here. Even if you feel like you didn't, that's just a representation of how much work you're going to have to do to start to detach from what you came here. Because that just means you came here with a bunch of desires and likes that you didn't even like. AKA parents that you always argue with, or situations within the family and that you come from where you may be getting treated like the black sheep, or maybe you feel like you don't agree with the same thoughts and feelings that the rest of your parents do. That reason is for, like I said, when you're in that astronaut space, you just kind of like, you going based off of desires. And a lot of times desires can lead us right off a cliff. You might think you want all the money in the world, but once you get it, you realize, damn, this money came with a bunch of extra shit that I didn't want, or I had to go through a lot of bullshit that honestly it's not even worth it at this point. I ain't got nobody around me no more. Like, what was the point of getting this money? I was so lost in this desire, I wasn't thinking about the repercussions, X, Y, and Z, and this is what I mean. Like, as spirits, this is why it's important to train your spiritual space, because if you are so easily influenced by things, you'll quickly jump into some shit that really ain't for you. And see, when we jump into things that aren't for us, this is where we can get outweighed by the world. And this is how accidents happen. People dying. You know what I'm saying? That's how it plays out. You got enticed. You went for that desire, and it turned out to be a little too much. A little bit too much elements that didn't fuck with you, and then now all of a sudden you lost your physical vessel. But your spirit never dies. You just go back to that space. You know what I'm saying? You go back to that space, and if you die with a lot of regrets on your mind, guess what? You didn't learn your lesson. Or you feel like you have to come back here to prove something. This is you back in that astronaut space looking for specific lights that look exactly like the life you just left, but you want to do it different. You feel me? And this is why a lot of people, will tell you, and I feel like I had a past life, or I feel like I was living in a different life or time period before I came here. A lot of times y'all be right. Sometimes it be, sometimes people just be making things up. But like, what you truly feel, you gotta get in touch with yourself to a level where you can trust that what you feel is what you feel, because like I said, influences. So a lot of times, like I said, we grew up on certain TV programs, right? And these TV programs had us thinking in a certain way. Because if you think about it, the people who made these TV programs, all we're doing is being programmed by the way they saw life. These shows, these are people who made these. These are spirits and bodies who created art. And art can be music, television, all that shit. They created something, right, to represent how they thought and felt about the world around them. And so certain things, you wonder why certain things are pushed harder than other things. It's because somewhere somebody is planting these seeds and wants people to think in a certain way. And like when we talk about things that get promoted more, because everything is built on algorithms. You know what I'm saying? When we even talk about TV, especially how it was back in the day before the internet, it was like all about ratings. So it could be a bomb ass show that you love, but because it didn't get enough attention or ratings, it gets kicked off the air. You know what I'm saying? But the things that you wonder why certain messages are keep being so pushed by the media, because like the government is controlling everything. So it's like the government allows certain things to play and doesn't allow other things to play. So consider that the next time you want to trust in something that you're watching. You really gotta, you really just got to be wise about kind of where you're getting your information from. Are you being programmed? Are these thoughts and feelings really yours? Or is this just something that you grew up on based upon programming? And now you construct all your thoughts and feelings based upon some shit that you've seen. And a lot of us be watching bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, in this world, you can do whatever you want. You know what I'm saying? When I say this, I don't want people to get the wrong idea to think that they have to run away from these things. Like, things are here for us to experience, right? So even if my example is like Bad Girls Club, right? Look, I never really watched it or was into it, but I had girlfriends who would love that shit, or want to play that shit, or sometimes you'll see clips on like Twitter or something, and like that shit is mad entertaining, but it's mad toxic, right? Now it's okay to indulge every now and then in that world if that's what you like. You like what you like, but a lot of people end up getting so wrapped up into that world that they start constructing their own thoughts and feelings, thinking like that they are these people, and that's where the lines get crossed and people lose who they are. And like I said, like finally we're getting to the point in the meat and potatoes of this video, which is your character. Who are you? Who are you? Like, who are you? Who are you for real? Because a lot of times we, like I said, we take on the thoughts and feelings of either characters that we see on TV or, we hear about in music. Like we take on these characters because we're influenced by them, or, it starts as inspiration, but it turns into influence when you get too attached into that light that you see someone in. This is why, like, I think it was interesting during the whole quarantine period where a lot of people who were idolized at one point before all this shit kind of went down, kind of fell from grace because people started waking up and realizing that these people are like, and see, the funny thing about the world and society is that the world kind of has a bad tendency to react on extremes, right? Before they find the equilibrium. Now, the equilibrium is really the soft spot. It's really the sweet spot, because what it really is like a lot of people got canceled, right? Now, some actions are unexcusable. You know what I'm saying? Like when we talk about the behavior of certain people, I'm not in any way justifying what they did, but a lot of other things, like sometimes it comes off a little extreme, the way that people go at somebody's neck when, like I said, we all are experiencing the human experience. So we all gonna make mistakes. Every day is an uphill battle. Nobody's perfect, but here we have the crucifixion of celebrities just based upon them having a thought or feeling that the majority of the world don't agree with. But these same people go home and have certain judgments about the world that are disgusting. You know what I'm saying? Like all of us have certain judgments about the world, or certain thought forms that we don't want to express to the world. You know what I'm saying? But people, hold them to a higher account because these are influences. These are people who climbed the ladder and became kind of like, they draw a lot of attention, or they have a lot of influence. So I get it. You know what I'm saying? With great power comes great responsibility. So I can't really speak on whether that, cancel culture and all that is right or wrong. Like, there is no right or wrong. It is what it is. But like I said, society has a bad tendency of going to extremes. And I think what we're experiencing now is that for so long they were idolized on the positive end. Now we got to go to the extreme, to where people would build, like I just said, build their whole lifestyles around the way another motherfucker thinks. And like, you got to think for yourself, right? So, but now we're kind of seeing that pendulum swing to that negative end, where now it's like the slightest infraction you cancel forever. You know what I'm saying? Which is an extreme in some cases. Some cases are justifiable, but in a lot of cases it'd be like, damn, that's a little extreme. You're gonna cancel this person's whole career and life because you disagree with, you know what I'm saying? It gets extreme. And I feel like maybe at some point we'll be able to find some equilibrium. That's just tends to be how the world works. But like I said, back to the point, it's like what character are you? Because we're all playing a position, we all playing a different role, and this goes back to the natal chart in a sense. When we talked about your houses, depending on where your sun sign is or where the rest of your planets are, these are kind of like the positions you like to play. You know, if your sun is in the fourth house, for instance, the fourth house represents home. You might not be the type of person who wants to be out and about on the world stage all the time or in unfamiliar areas. You want to be where you feel comfortable. You know, just like somebody who might have a sun in the third house, which is your surroundings, you might like to be, you know, out and about, but only like in familiar places with familiar people. You might not like long distance travel, you know, aka shit that's in the opposite house, which is the ninth house. The ninth house deals with long distance travel and things of that nature, whether it be in thought or physically. You know what I'm saying? You know, a ninth house person might like to travel while third house, but at the same time, like I said, you're not a slave to your natal chart. It's like a third house person could love to travel too, or a fourth house person could love to be outside too. But the way they be outside is that they still have to find their comfort zone. If you're a fourth house person, or if they a third house person and they're going long distance, it's like they're just a person who might like to like make new friends, and then like they make a long distance travel familiar, or they only go to familiar places that are similar to the places that they usually be at. You know what I'm saying? They travel, you know, it's all different kind of modifications. You know, it's not so stiff. And yeah, but what character are you playing? You know, what a lot of people don't know who they are, and they don't spend enough time with themselves to really define, like really understand what kind of thoughts and feelings that they create on their own, right? And so this later on becomes a person not truly knowing themselves. And when you don't know yourself, you don't know how to position yourself in the world. You often put yourself in positions where you either end up getting hurt, or maybe kind of misunderstanding the situation or what's needed for it, or you put yourself in positions that you might fall short. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's important. Like my whole point of this video is just kind of speaking on this energy of character and who are you, and giving you thoughts and ideas to, you know, hopefully stimulate this message in your mind, and for you to really start to dig and define that. Because, you know, the stronger when you really find that center, you can start developing more conviction, and this will translate into having more confidence. And when you have more confidence and you start to really know what kind of spaces you like to be in, you learn the positions that you can really excel in. And by knowing the positions that you can excel in, you can put yourself in certain spots and situations where you can manifest the most out of that. You know what I'm saying? You can manifest more things in your favor, rather than not really knowing yourself, and then you kind of move around life sloppy, and you end up having a lot of regrets because you put yourself in bad positions, but you wasted a lot of time in those positions not knowing it was a bad position, until one day because what really ends up happening is you got two choices. Either you can transform your life, or life can transform you, or transform a situation for you. And you don't want the latter, because when the latter comes, it's usually at a time where you're not ready, you're not prepared, and it thrusts you into chaos. And that's where it's really scary. Whereas if you just embraced a little bit of fear and took the initiative on your own to change your situation, you know, took your own power back to change your situation, things might be a little scary at first, but you end up getting a lot more back in return. You know what I'm saying? And eventually you can look back at that shit and be like, damn, I'm glad I changed that. I'm glad I transformed that. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's just something to think about. Lastly, you know, this also kind of takes us into when you're dealing with other people. And see, this is kind of also essential as well, because a lot of times, see, people can talk a good game. You know what I'm saying? Everybody can talk a good game, because the truth of the matter is we all are playing a character. Like I said, whether you know it or not, you playing a character. You're a spirit in a vessel, playing out certain energies to manifest a certain experience that you want to have right now. Some people know that they're doing this, and so they have more power and they can manifest more things to go in their favor. Some people don't know they're doing this, and this is why their life might be a little more chaotic. And then there's those people who are kind of anomalies, who aren't into this stuff, but just naturally the way they came into this world, they know how to use it. That's why I said don't feel trapped by your natal chart, because a lot of people don't need astrology. Even if you're listening to this, and hopefully you are listening to this, and you know you might not be into astrology, I hope you still feel comfortable and like you can still get something out of it, because it's not all about astrology. You don't need that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, all you need is your spirit. And so like your spirit can come to the same conclusions, but it's hard to do that in a world where certain messages and certain things are put in front of our face. And so that we end up living a life that we think things are normal, but those normal things aren't necessarily natural to us or natural to the world. So by default, it's a kind of confusing situation for our spirits. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so like, you know, But getting back to my point, when we're dealing with other people outside of ourselves, you really need to be careful of what kind of characters you're associating with. Because here's the thing about people. The people you're around will influence your thoughts and feelings regardless. Just being around somebody too much, especially if you're not a strong spirit or strong in your individuality, because people play out as influences. How someone else, you'll never really see things in the way someone else sees it or feel things in the way they feel it. But we are constantly in a world where we have to relate, and relating causes for compromise at some points and sometimes opposition. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes opposition. It's all about position and angling. And this kind of goes into astrology too, you know what I'm saying? Sorry to tie everything to astrology, but it's a really good tool, right, for this world, right? Astrology, there's different alignments. A sextile, which is like a 60-degree angle, I believe. I might be mistaken on my numbers, so I'm gonna stop saying numbers, but I'm just saying you can Google what a sextile is, like as far as degree wise. But a sextile is just an angle where it's a more harmonious angle. So a sextile in astrology is like it creates an opportunity where two different energies can come together in order to where, like Michael Jordan and Pippen. Michael Jordan is like, he might be the star offensive player, right? So that's one energy. And Scottie Pippen is another energy that likes to pass the ball and give assists. So his energy can create an opportunity with the offensive player in which now that he can pass the ball to him and he can score. So that's a power. You get what I'm saying? Hopefully you play basketball. If you don't play basketball, I'll give you another analogy. It's like basically say this might be a stretch, right? But fuck it, let's do it. So you're a firefighter, right? You're just a firefighter, but you're a firefighter that maybe can drive the car, right? And then there's another, and that's the energy. You're the energy of driving the car. And then there's another firefighter that has the energy, the strength to hold the hose. He's strong enough to hold the hose. So y'all come together, right? And that's his energy, right? The holding the hose. And you need the hose and you need the car to get there, right? So these people come together and create an opportunity to put out fires. That's a stretch. But hopefully you can kind of just use your creativity to kind of get what I'm saying, right? So, that's kind of how a sextile plays out. A trine is energies of the same that kind of create a gift. So it's like, another example. Let's do it like this, right? Another example of a trine, right? A trine could be you being a rapper and you knowing another rapper. Y'all do the same thing, but y'all rapping together because y'all energies are the same, right? Say y'all rap about the same thing. This creates a gift. So that song has the gift to be really, really good or have an easy flow of energy, because that's all a trine is. It's just an easy flow of energy. So if you and another person kind of the same energy and y'all rap about the same things, right? Y'all might do it in different ways, but y'all can come together and create a gift, which is that track being really great at whatever subject matter that y'all both pertain to, right? You know what I'm saying? And I'm trying to just give analogies outside of astrology. There's opposition. Opposition is more of a harsh angle, right? The other two are more harmonious. These are more beneficial ones. But see, when we start talking about what's beneficial and what's not, like, that's not necessarily a good or bad thing. You know what I'm saying? It just is what it is. But it's depending on the two spirits and how they work together. Because you can have a sextile that makes you lazy. You know what I'm saying? Or you could have, opportunities to make you lazy, or opportunities for disaster. You know what I'm saying? Or you could have a gift that causes you to be lazy on your talents, or, procrastinate a lot because you feel like, oh, well, I got it in the bag. You know what I'm saying? And that could create negative energy like that. Here we have, and back to my point, right? So continuing on, we have an opposition angle. Opposition is like you versus me. It's like, a 180. So it's like these are two opposites, right? But opposites could either go on a head-on collision, right? Or they can find balance and they can come together and kind of make each other better, in that sense, where now y'all become a power team or a power couple where one person lacks, the other person can pick up that slack, right? And then you have, what's the next one? A square. A square is like a learning process. And so this is like another individual that is the same kind of, they might do something similar to you, but y'all do it in completely different ways. But they have certain elements that you can learn from, and vice versa. They have things that they can learn from you. So, y'all can either choose to not learn and y'all just don't fuck with each other, but at the cost of whatever y'all trying to build, or y'all can come together and create a 90-degree angle, which is just y'all finding something that something you learning from each other, and by learning from each other you can create that middle point, and it'll be like a, when we think of a box, saying 90-degree angles can come and make strong structures, because now the structure is fully, I'm getting into geometry and shit like that, but that's kind of how it goes. So everything is about positioning and angling. Even in astrology, that it's about the degrees. A lot of people want to use the equal house system. No, you need to use the real system so you can see the degrees, the specific angles, because everything is about, and that's where astronomy comes in, where it's looking at the specific angles. Astrology is about the energetic influences, while astronomy is about the mathematics and the real life geometry, and that's where when you can balance the two, that's where you really are starting to get it. You know what I'm saying? It's not just about the cookie cutter bullshit that people will be posting on articles and all that other shit. So all that being said, back to what I was saying, so it's all about positioning and angles. And so this happens with people, with people that we're friends with. We might not be aligned with them in the right way, depending on like people just, it's like energetically, you might not be in the same frequency, on the same vibration. You might be making a harsh angle to another individual. You know what I'm saying? And this sometimes plays out in the natal chart, where depending on where a person's sun sign is and in the houses, that might be where they are hitting you or where they're influencing you. And depending on how their planets mesh with your planets, everything kind of counts, right? But when we're just talking on a basic psychological level, you really have to pay attention to the position and angling you are doing, because this is all about how we relate to others. Life, even though we're all supposed to be individuals, we're all learning how to relate to each other. We're all sharing space. We're all individual spirits sharing space. So this is why, that's something else. You know what I'm saying? Let's stay on track. Let's stay on track and just talk about character in general. So the thing about relating to other people and stuff like that, you just got to pay attention to their actions. So the best way to see someone else's character is to look at the things that they act on. Look at the things that's on their mind, their mentality, how they put together thoughts, and how they put together feelings, because we all constructed our own thoughts and feelings. And even if a person feels like the victim, and these are the first toxic people, right, in our lives, because they think that everything is being done onto them, but they have the power. They just choose to give it away. You know what I'm saying? And that speaks for itself. That's an irresponsible spirit, somebody who doesn't take responsibility or accountability for the shit that they're creating in their world. Because even if we're going through catastrophic moments, on some level, we manifested that, we created that situation. You know what I'm saying? And some situations are very fucked up, I know, but you got to understand that on a spiritual level, you created that. And you don't have to be stuck in that cycle of victimhood. You can find your power. There's always power to be had, but you got to find where it is. You know what I'm saying? And that's part of your story and your spiritual saga. You know what I'm saying? That's something I can't tell for you. You know what I'm saying? With the lessons and the meaning and reasonings you need to pick up from. That's on you. But what I will say is that what you need to do is, before you decide to open yourself up to everybody or keep people around you, you need to start paying attention to their actions, the way they build their mentality, and the way they build their emotions and feelings. Because you could be around a person who's always depressed. You know what I'm saying? Y'all could be y'all just won $1 million fucking dollars, but this person pointing out all the negative things out of that situation, which sometimes that's good. But think about it. If you're around this person a little too much and you let them influence you too much, or they manifest situations in their own life where they experience a lot of disaster or turmoil, understand that those energetic influences are at some point going to influence you. And see, when we're too buddy and too close to people who are creating catastrophic moments within their own life, this is where toxic energy plays in, because by default, just being around that individual, they'll start to influence you. Now, everybody who creates, you shouldn't be scared though. You shouldn't just run around thinking that you got to separate from everything, but it's just a matter of you being aware. And the second you feel like someone is taking over, it's a little too much influence in your life, then you need to take your spirit and maybe separate and maybe start creating your own shit, maybe creating some distance between that individual. Because the thing about a lot of people who aren't wise or aren't really spiritually aware is that they this world is all about, we talk about the Fibonacci sequence, right? And it's just, we talk about the 360, right? Because essentially that's what kind of goes around in this world. It's all about that swirl, right? People get lost in cycles, and that cycle becomes addictive, because as a spirit, we start to, like, spirits can start to feel like, and what happens is, like I said, your spirit is no thing, but the way this world is set up, the spirit can start to get confused and think that it is these things, you know what I'm saying? Because just of not knowing, you know what I'm saying? You just don't know yourself, and you don't know where you stand. So you can start to think you are these negative feelings and thoughts and emotions. You start to think these things are yours, when if you don't like what you're spinning in, you're going to keep spinning into it until you what? Take responsibility, start taking accountability, and create your own exit. And you got to save yourself, because the truth of the matter is no one's coming to save you. So you have to figure out and find your strength to get your shit together. And you always have strength. It's in there. It's inside of you, but you gotta dig for it. You know what I'm saying? And it's hard to see a lot of times, but you gotta find, like, and I say find it, like, it's, I don't want you to think it's something outside of you. It's within you. But this is a part of the process, the spiritual journey, finding your strength, right? And not finding it, but creating your strength out of nothing, because your spirit is no thing, but you have tools that you can use to build something, create something yourself, so be the builder, be the creator. Don't be the byproduct. Don't be the, you know what I'm saying? Don't be the byproduct. Don't be the person on the other end, the victim. You know what I'm saying? Take your power back. You know what I'm saying? And watch the characters. And from here, like I said, we create the character you want to be. You know what I'm saying? Don't get lost in a delusion. Be yourself. But just know that as a spirit, we create these things, you know what I'm saying? And I started off talking about character, but it kind of drifted off in many different ways. But, I don't even really know where to leave out on. But, like, I guess I could leave out here, just, you know what I'm saying? Like, because I think the message kind of came across and then some, you know what I'm saying? But just when it comes to our characters, just who are you? You need to know for your own sake. And until next time, peace.